All right. I think our guys are really looking forward to this week. Got a great opportunity right here at our home stadium at Ray J, hosting Florida. I know we're expecting a great crowd after a year last year with no fans allowed. I think our guys are really looking forward to that. I think the big focus for us this week and this weekend was really to learn from the mistakes last Thursday. And, going back and watching the film, there's a lot of things to correct, and ultimately we didn't execute. We had plays that were there, and at the end of the day, you got to execute. And if you don't execute against a really good team like NC State, then the game can get away from you, and that's exactly what happened. So really that's our message to our guys is to, learn from that experience. That was one of our 12 games. So we got to really be able to turn the page. Got another huge challenge this week. Florida's an incredible team. Coach Mullen, his staff have done a great job in his 4 years there. They've recruited very well. They've got the size, speed, athleticism all over the field. Definitely presents a lot of challenges for our offense, defense, and special teams. I think for me, it starts with being able to stop their running game. They had over 400 yards rushing last week, and I think that starts with their offensive line. They're really talented up front. They've got 4 or 5 backs that are very, very talented, both size and speed, and then both of their quarterbacks are tremendous. And those guys, anytime they pull the ball, they have a chance to score at any moment. And then I think the next thing for us offensively is to be able to find ways to run the ball. I think looking back at last week, a lot of our 3 and outs came because we had 3rd and longs, and it's hard to really convert on 3rd and longs if that's what situation you're in. This group right here, they're so talented at the defensive end spot that you don't want to be in 3rd and long. I think just about every time they had a drop back last week, it was bad things happened for the other team. So in order to keep yourself out of 3rd and long, you got to find ways to run the ball and be in a manageable position on 3rd down. And then special teams, they're very fast. They get down the field. We're going to have to do a great job with our alignment assignment, with our eyes and being in the right place. So yet another challenge, but one our guys are excited about turning the page and looking forward to being home this Saturday. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
You said many times it's really important for your team to concentrate on how it can get better and not worry about what the other team can do. With all the talk that's going to be going on, how confident are you that going into this team will be able to shut all that out and just work on that same stuff?
Yeah, and that's the next step that we have to take as a program is to be able to do that. I think, coming off of last week, whenever the guys went back and watched the film and truly were able to see that there were opportunities there. I mean, I've been in games where you got beat by a lot and the other team was just, bigger, faster, stronger, whatever, and it wasn't even close. And that was not – NC State's a very talented team, but when we watched the video, I think even though our guys, should be disappointed in the way that we played, I think there was some optimism there in seeing that the plays were there. And literally it came down to our execution. And so that's really our focus going in this week. If you sit there and stare at them, they're going to win the beauty contest for sure out there in pregame and on the field because of the size and athleticism their guys have. So we can't get distracted by that. We really have to stay focused on us. And really that's something that we've got to be able to do each and every week regardless of who you're playing. And this will be another opportunity to do that and really is the focus of this week going into it.
Do you think Cade will be able to shut that game out? And do you see, just from talking to you, see him being able to move forward?
I hope so. I'm expecting him to. We're going to put him out there as our starter this week as well. The disappointment, I know Cade, there's nobody more disappointed in a slow start than he was because he really has had, I've heard me talk about it a lot, he's had an outstanding fall camp. But, sometimes even as coaches we have to remember, even though we look at him as an older player, he hasn't played much ball. That's the first time he's been in a road game maybe ever in his life as a starter. I don't know. So, so that happens a little bit. But, I felt like Cade settled down whenever we put him in later in the game. He settled down, and I wish we could have put it in right there at the end to finish off that drive. But he showed better decision-making, knowing where to go with the ball, and execution there. So hopefully, that'll be a learning experience for him and everybody else. I mean, it wasn't like he was the only one, but obviously that position has the most eyeballs and really controls the tempo of your offense.
You expect to play both quarterbacks?
I do, yeah, I do. We're going to let Cade go out there first, but we were planning to play Timmy last week. We weren't planning to play him as early and on a regular schedule. We had some packages and things for him, but really just after struggling getting anything going there in the first quarter, we decided to change it up. And I felt like Timmy did a good job with a lot of things. He made some nice throws and could add some things with his feet. The biggest disappointment there was the turnovers, because we'd drive down, get in the red zone, and then he just forced some throws that did not need to happen there in the red zone, and took away opportunities to get points. And so, the message to him is, when you get back out there and get another opportunity, we got to finish those drives, and we got to make better decisions with the ball. And I'm confident he will as well. Both him and Cade are talented players. They have a lot of pride in what they do. They work extremely hard preparing, and I expect both of those guys to play better this week.
Coach, early in the game, you got him in a third down and you deflect the pass. 99 times out of 100, it either gets intercepted or falls to the ground.
Yeah.
And it goes and gets a completion and it keeps the drive alive. You could just see your defense, almost like the air went out of them, like, is it going to happen again? Did you feel the same way?
It was unfortunate, absolutely. But it's football, right? Sometimes. I think back to a year ago against Citadel, and there was something crazy happened on their first punt, and we catch it, and we got OD had the shortest punt return in history of college football, 0 yards. So those things happen. I think the message to our guys is, when you play hard and you play fast, and more times than not, you're going to be around the ball when those opportunities happen. And those aren't, our guys did a good job deflecting the ball, and their guy jumped up and made a play on third down. And I don't spend a lot of time dwelling on that. I spend more time talking about, the penalties that we had. Several times there was 2 key penalties that we had on defense that, kept them on the field, that led to touchdown drives. And again, that's kind of going back to, those are things that we can control. The other play, we really can't control the ending of that, but we can control being disciplined and not having the foolish, personal foul penalties that kept the defense out there and led to touchdown drives.
When it comes to using multiple quarterbacks, what are the kind of things that you consider about doing it? I'm sure on one hand, they both have different skill sets, you want to get them in, but there's probably a rhythm factor in it too, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're not playing both quarterbacks because we think it's the best thing to do for us to win the game. We're playing both quarterbacks because we're trying to figure out who our starter is. Trey Marsh is another guy that could play. So I think sometimes you may be in a situation where things are going well and you want to play multiple guys, and that's fine. I think for us right now, I've said it before, we're using these first 4 non-conference games. The ultimate goal is to be able to have our starting quarterback really emerge and feel confident going into the SMU game with who that is. So I was expecting last week for Cade to go out and play well, not perfect. I didn't expect him to play perfect. There's never been a perfect game, but expected him to make a little bit better decisions there early in the first quarter, and he'll get another opportunity to do that, on Saturday.
But just on understanding.
Yeah.
Once you get to conference play, you want to have one guy and go with it, not.
Yeah, I want to have one guy right now, but we don't. But knowing where we are and knowing going into this season that neither Cade nor the other guys had really played a whole lot. I've been through this before with Deshaun Watson, with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it was game 4 on both of those guys, I think, before they truly took over as the starter, and we knew who our starter was. But, I would love for that to be established Saturday because one of those guys goes out and plays well, and it's obvious, and that's who we're going to move forward with. But after the first game, we just did not come out of the game feeling confident that we know for sure who our number 1 is for the season.
This is something that will be determined by game performance. That's how you'll know.
Yeah.
Not practice.
Yeah, I think that the practice performance determines who goes out there first, and Cade's earned that from all of his practice and what he's done in the offseason. But now when you get to the season, now the next level turns into game performance, and that's really at every position as well. There's other positions, other guys are being evaluated here as we go in the year. And there's only so much you can do in practice. We try to put guys in pressure situations and intense situations, but there's nothing like getting out there in a game. We just happened to be playing two challenging opponents the first 2 weeks, so it kind of comes a little bit more to life here early on, but it's going to make us stronger, make us a better team as we move forward.
I mean, and Florida's got their own competition going on right now. As you know, Anthony Richardson pushed the needle last week against FAU. I mean, when you look at their sideline between those two guys, how do you obviously you got to prepare for both those guys? Just how do you do it?
Well, they're both very similar in the fact that they're excellent runners, and they both can throw the ball and stretch the ball down the field. To me, I think it's a bigger challenge if you have one that's maybe a pro style, just drop back passer, and that's all he does, and the other guy's a runner. I think that kind of, you have to split up your prep. But with both of those guys being super athletic, they love having the ball in their hands, and both of them can score anytime that they pull the ball. We've got to we're kind of preparing, for the same quarterback regardless of either of those guys, because you watch the film, both of them are very, very similar in a lot of things that they do.
Coach, your teams want to play big boy football against you, just run a tackle down your throat. How do you defend that?
Yeah, well, it comes down to defeating blocks, and I felt like there was times Thursday night where we did a better job against the run than maybe I'd seen last year. I think ultimately we just weren't consistent enough. I think part of it too is offensively, with as many 3 and outs as we had, we just kept putting the defense out there. It doesn't matter how good your defense is, when you keep putting them out there in tough situations back to back. Unfortunately, we're kind of in a situation very similar to last year depth-wise. I think we played 16 defensive players last week. So with guys out and guys not quite ready to go play yet, I think that affected us. But ultimately, the way you stop the run is everybody's where they're supposed to be, and then they make the tackles. And when we were in the right gaps and we made the tackles, we had some nice tackle for loss or tackle for no gain or short gain. And then when guys were not where they're supposed to be against talented running backs, it was a touchdown, or it's a 40 or 50 yard. We have 8 big plays that we gave up in the running game. And so going back and watching the tape, it was from poor alignments and guys not finishing the tackles and getting the guys on the ground.
Are you maybe finding that you're not quite as far ahead as you were this time last year in terms of trying to establish your number 1 starters?
I think we're definitely further ahead than last year. I think the difference is we opened up against NC State instead of the Citadel. I think that to me, it doesn't even feel like last year. I feel like we're, from a team standpoint, we're further ahead. I think we just didn't go out and execute in our first game against a very talented team. And time will tell. I personally, I played NC State every year for about the last 10 or 11 years. I think they're a top 3 team in their league this year. I think at the end of the season that'll prove to be the case. And when you don't execute versus a very talented team, then it really shows. And I think that's more of what happened, the combination of that last Thursday. But I feel like we're better overall, in some areas, but we didn't show it when it mattered, on the field. And so that's what gives me optimism as we go into the next few games. Is I know we're definitely more capable. Where maybe last year, if we didn't play well, I don't know how much better we could get just because of some of the deficiencies that we had. But this year, we're definitely a lot more capable to play better than we did on Thursday.
How hard is it to convince the team that, okay, maybe not let all the air get sucked out of the room, considering you played NC State and then it gets actively harder?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you look at the last 3 years. I mean, these guys have been through a lot. There's been a lot of adversity, and I think for us, the frustration is trying to get over the hump. And the message to the guys is, the way that you do that is you get better at what we're doing, and you can't get distracted. I mean, the only way we're going to change our team and our program is from the inside out. And that's from everybody doing a better job. That's coaches, that's myself and our staff and all of our players really focusing on what's important and how we execute, how we do what we do. And then eventually, if we do that consistent enough, then we're going to see the success. And I think, that's what I want for our players more than anything, is I want them to be able to see the success, because I know with everything else that, we've done, that we'll be able to really build off of that. But we just haven't had opportunities for that, and a lot of that's on us with our lack of execution.
Coach, a home game with a packed house, how important is that
Yeah, it's great. You know, it's more fun if we go out and play well, but there's no doubt about it. I mean, last year obviously is what it is. You know, it was fun playing at NC State. But they had a great crowd there, and just the energy of actually having fans in the game and all that. And obviously, you know, we didn't play as well as we wanted to, but that was different. It felt different in a good way. And so I'm excited about the energy that's going to be there Saturday. I think it'll be great for Tampa. I think it'll be great for our team and our program. To be able to host a program like Florida here, and my focus is on getting our team to be able to go out and execute and play a good game.
You feel confident that the quarterback situation will be resolved one way or another by SMU?
I do. I feel confident that it'll that at the very latest that would be the case, because I'm confident in the guys in that room, and ultimately they got to go out and do it. But I'm a lot more confident in that room this year than I was last year. And again, you know, those guys didn't play up to their potential, but they weren't the only ones. And it was the first time out there and all that. But we're going to get another opportunity here Saturday, and then we'll have 2 more opportunities before we start conference play. And I am confident that somebody in that room will separate and be able to lead our team.
Jeff, there was some players tweeting during the NC State game about the sideline policy that you enacted for former players. If you could dive into kind of the reasoning as to why only former NFL players.
Yeah, and you know, the biggest thing is I just have experience from where I've been. You know, at Clemson we had, you know, a lot of former players, and you only have sometimes you only have 4 or 5 sideline passes. So the guys that had open weeks or bye weeks in the NFL that couldn't get back to a game and be their only ones, and sometimes we were able to get those guys on the field. But you know, that's kind of what I've done in the past. Everybody has the same issues. I'm not really sure exactly if we're going to be able to have anybody on the field sideline wise, because we're still dealing with COVID and all those protocols. But yeah, just kind of going back to my previous experience of where I've been. The hardest sideline passes were those playoff. You know, we're in the playoffs every year, so those playoff games. You know, you had a lot of guys trying to get back, and they only gave us 4 or 5 passes. So ultimately, you know, we gave those to the guys that were actively in the NFL that were trying to come back during an open week.
Obviously, you guys are this is an alumni weekend, welcoming everybody back. Have those former players been contacted regarding tickets or something like that?
Yeah, we've been contacting and communicating with all of our former football alumni for really probably the last 2 months about tickets and the way they can get access to tickets. And whenever we had our football alumni event last month, we talked about that as well. So I think they feel confident they've been getting communicated with from myself and our team.
So health-wise, any significant injuries coming out there tonight?
Yes, unfortunately, Christian Williams will be out for a while. He had a high ankle sprain, and so he's going to be out for a little while. I think that was the biggest one for sure that's going to be out. And we still don't know on Pinckney yet whether we're going to get him back this week. We'll know more later in the week.
Jeff, you mentioned that lack of execution, and each of the players that were made available to the media
Yeah.
Thursday night said as much. And what do you attribute to that? You answered that in part by saying players were out of position.
Yeah.
What else might have been a factor there?
Yeah, I mean, as coaches, you try not to look for excuses. I could write down a list of reasons why. At the end of the day, it's about looking at it and getting it corrected. And so bottom line, they didn't do it. So we as coaches have to look at how we're teaching things, how we're drilling things in practice, and then we got to make sure that they're going out there and doing it, and then it's on them. So it's on everybody to get it corrected. But you know, you could look at a lot of different things, a lot of different reasons why. I mean, one reason is you're playing a really good team. I mean, that's, you know, you typically execute better when you're playing teams that aren't as good. But what we have to be able to do is we've got to be consistent in our execution. And regardless if we're playing a really strong team or somebody that maybe is not as strong, and that's for us to get to be a consistent winning program, we've got to get to where our execution is consistent each and every week.
As you alluded to, you know, you're not tippy-toeing into this season by any means with the schedule. So after a tough opener, you got one of the top teams in the country coming in. How do you manage the mentality and the resiliency of this team to kind of weather these challenges?
Yeah, We talked about it a lot at the beginning of the year, that this was gonna be a challenging season. You know, you can look at the schedule and see, early on, through some of our non-conference, and even when we get in conference, this is a very strong conference. I think there's some really good teams, that we'll be playing in conference this year. And I think that the biggest thing that we talk about is the grit and resilience to keep moving forward. You know, you gotta learn from each, situation, good and bad. If we'd have gone out and won, we still would have had a lot of corrections in game one, to fix. And so I think the biggest thing is to take each opportunity as a learning experience. And then once you do that, you got to move forward and keep moving forward and keep showing up. And what I know and what I believe from my previous experiences is if you can just show up each and every day and be consistent day in and day out, you know, then eventually you're going to see that success. And, you know, and I believe we will this year. And our guys have responded so far this week in the right way. They've all shown up, been where they're supposed to be, and had a good attitude, and you know, go back. And I'm confident that our guys will be ready to play on Saturday.
Coach, following up on Joey's question a little bit, how do you keep one loss from becoming two?
Yeah, talk about, very clearly explain why we lost the game, why we didn't execute, and how it looks, and show them that, hey, if we would have, look, this would have been a touchdown early on. All of a sudden, it's a different game. You know, if we make a little bit better decision here, if we're where we're supposed to be, that saves a touchdown. So you show them so that they can see the opportunities that were there, and then, you know, next time you get those opportunities, we got to make the most of it. But, you know, this group's been through a lot. You know, I would definitely wish and expected us to play better, but nobody quit. That's one thing I know, watching that last drive going all the way down there, and I wish we could have got it in, but nobody quit. And they were disappointed after the game, but they showed back up on Saturday morning, ready to go for meetings with their notebooks out, ready to take notes and learn from it. And, you know, they have pride. They put in a lot of work. And this season wasn't going to be built around the first two games. If that was the case, it's going to be a pretty difficult deal. I mean, we're building towards a 12-game season. And that was a great opportunity last week, but it was exactly that, one opportunity. It's a great opportunity this week. It's exactly that, win or lose, it's one opportunity. So we got to just be consistent throughout the whole season for us to have a success.
All three of Florida's captains last week against Florida Atlantic were from Tampa Bay, and Zach Carter, Malik Davis, and Spencer Miller. Is that, you know, and just the way they built their program kind of coming down here each recruiting cycle, is Florida kind of could you use Florida as a model for how you want to maybe build this program with some of those higher recruited players from this particular area?
Yeah. I think what you can take is when you recruit well, you play well. I think you can take that. And there's definitely great talent here. But to be able to say that we're in a position to beat Florida on recruits, I don't think we have one player on our team that had a true opportunity. We don't have one coach on our team that had an opportunity to go do their job at Florida either. So I'm not sure that comparison is really valid in this situation. But there's no doubt there's you know, talented players here in this area. And you know, for us to improve big picture, we've got to improve our recruiting and talent, and we're working on that right now as well. All right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Good luck.
Players today, we'll start with Matt Hill, safety. Matt with his first career reception on Thursday. Obviously, spent some time in the SEC as well before joining.
How y'all doing?
Big question for Matt.
When you're sitting there at the end of the game, and you've lost, but do you go back and say, okay, these are the good plays I made and we can improve on the others?
With that being said, you know, after the loss, it did kind of hurt. You know, just all the juice we brought into NC State, we thought, you know, we were going to come out with a different score on the board. But, you know, it's just one of those things that we just got to look past and just continue to work every day and just to get better and fix our corrections so we don't make the same errors again. So that's what I'll say to that.
What catches your eye about Florida's offense?
The quarterbacks and the way that they run the ball, you know, the game's won in the trenches. So as long as our D-line and up front is doing what we're supposed to do, stopping the run, I feel like we could come out with a victory. So as long as we prepare and get everything that we need to get done, I feel like it should be a good game.
And you feel the defense has turn the page. Thursday's behind you, forget it, all over.
Of course.
Now it's all about Florida. You feel that
Hmm.
everything's coming together well in practice and in the meeting room so far this week.
Of course. We have some things installed that we plan on doing against Florida. So with that being said, it just, like I was saying, we just gotta look past what happened in the past and just continue to work on what's going to be happening in the future. So defense, of course we missed some tackles, some big X plays that should have been stopped, but they just make plays and we just gotta look past it. So the defense is gonna be ready for this weekend. So
This is not a conference game, but it's gonna be quite an occasion. What's it like for players to have a game like this where so much attention, so many fans, early in the season?
I'll say that it's like one of those games to just help us get our blood rushing through our body. Just if we come out with a victory, just saying that we could do that. That's an SEC team, so all the conferences really can be related in some kind of way. No matter if it's the SEC school, ACC school, the AAC is on the come up. So I feel like whatever we got going on down here, it's gonna get nationally televised, and people will see that all conferences are alike. So.
When Will Jones went down with the injury, 2 days before the NC State game, did you guys feel like you had to scramble trying to have a contingency plan or something like that?
I don't think so because, Will was taking all the starting reps, but I knew coming into the day, I knew I was the next man up. I've been preparing for the job. So I told him once it happened, I was like, I'm gonna go out there and play for you, really, fam, because I know how he was looking forward to the first game. We both talked about it, and since I got here, he was really like one of the first people who I connected with. So we have a relationship that's unbreakable. So I just played that game as hard as I could for Will because I know he would have been doing the same thing. So, but I feel like I was just mentally prepared as he would have been. So.
And now it looks like Christian could be out for some time. Two of the three transfer DBs that just came in this offseason are now kind of sidelined. When you look at that, just what do you have to do to make up for that?
Come in every day and work harder, because of course all three of us came down here for a reason, came down here to make plays, and unfortunately they're not able to do that. So it makes me want to work harder for them because my roommate's Christian, so I live with him. I know he's going through. Me and him, we talk basically every night about our situation, where we came from, and what we plan on doing here. And just to see that it's a minor setback, he's just gonna come back working even harder than he was before. So.
Are there any guys at Florida that you know well, that you either played against or used the recruiting process or anything like that?
I know Emory Jones, Laquan Newkirk. He's a transfer from Auburn. Coach Crime Dog. He's a DB coach there. Recruit Jacob Copeland, the receiver, Justin Shorter. There's a few guys who I was getting recruited with and who I've done a few camps with that's on Florida now. So.
What impresses you about Emory Jones?
His ability to move with the ball. He's a true dual threat quarterback. So we just can't worry about his arm or just how he runs the ball. We got to really focus on both and try to find a way to stop him.
Obviously, they've kind of got their own competition going right now with Anthony Richardson pushing the needle a little bit. As Coach Scott was saying, they're basically preparing for the same quarterback. You feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. I feel like they both kind of have the same tendencies. But, I don't feel like it's nothing that we can't stop. So as long as we're prepared for the game, we should do just fine. So. I appreciate y'all.
Thanks, good luck.
How's it going?
You finish a game like that, you're sitting in a locker room. Yeah, you got beat, but you kind of go mentally and go, here's the good plays I made and here's where I got to get better.
Yeah, so obviously it was a frustrating night, Thursday night, but I think, we came in Saturday with an open mind, and it was disappointing turning on the film just at all the plays that could have been made and weren't made at the end of the day. So we're going to look at it as a team as, it is one game, and we're not going to let it define our season. Like, we have 11 more guaranteed opportunities to play, and, we're going to do whatever we can to, play to the best of our ability.
What did you see on film after obviously the execution pieces, but anything specific that you think could have been done a little bit better?
Specifically, we were just so close. Like, there's so many of these run plays where it's just like just half a second longer on some of these blocks, it hits, and like we've practiced all week. And some of these, catches, we just didn't give quarterback time to throw sometimes. And we all have to own it. We all watched it, and we accepted that's not going to happen again. And we're going to do whatever we can to make it better.
The schedule that you're playing, obviously, you have a tough opener and one of the best teams in the country, and BYU coming. How do you develop the mentality, the resiliency, whatever the word is, to weather these storms, of which there are several in the game too?
Yeah, I think, as a team, we just can't let one game be that definition of our season. We're just excited at this point to, have fans in the stadium and, be able to. This is my first packed stadium at Ray J since 2016 when I was on the other sideline. So I'm just excited for the atmosphere that comes with it, and I know, my teammates and I, we're going to do whatever we can to, we're going to embrace any opportunity and challenge that comes with an opponent, and especially, this week with Florida. But, we're excited for the opportunity, and we're going to do everything we can to prepare to the best of our ability.
Florida's got a heck of a defensive line between, Zach Carter, Jervon Dexter, and then obviously 400-pound Desmond Watson down the line. Are you kind of preparing a little bit more in pass block, run block this week?
Yeah, I wouldn't say a little bit more. Just there's more of an emphasis, when we're doing these drills and stuff. Is they've got a lot of talent and they're coached really well. They play really hard, so it's just going to take our best.
Do you think we could see maybe a little bit more of a two tight end set here and there because of that?
We had two tight ends in the game plan against NC State. We just didn't get around to it and didn't get it called. But I know Chris and Gunnar are going to be ready. If two tight ends do come up, and we're going to do what we can.
How have you seen? Speaking of Gunnar, how have you seen him kind of grow? I know he was excited to get up here. Just what's your kind of takeaway from how he's looked so far?
Yeah, he has a really bright future ahead of him. He's extremely hardworking, and he's always in my ear, asking questions, trying to get better. He actually texted me when I was sitting over there. He's like, "Where are you at?" Because we're going to go get an extra lift in after this. So, he's just the willingness to get better and learn is so encouraging for me, especially, it's my 6th year. It's nice to have someone else there with me and pushing me to be better, for sure.
Mitchell, because this is your 6th year, you're one of the leaders on the team. What were you looking for lack of better, attitude-wise in your teammates Friday, Saturday, now you started the week of practice? What were you looking for, and you're satisfied with what you've seen?
Yeah, I'm definitely satisfied with, what I've seen, our response from coming back in Saturday and watching the film. We were extremely disappointed with how we played and the outcome of Thursday. It wasn't to our standard. We expected better for this team and for ourselves. And so Saturday, we came in as a group, and everybody was open and willing to learn and accepted the criticism and the coaching. And that's the biggest part. It's because, we all can get better. There wasn't a player on the field that, played to their standard, really. And I think we all owned it, and we're willing to do whatever it takes this week, practice-wise, film-wise, to turn the ship around and execute better.
As you said, that Saturday is one game of a 12-game schedule, but it is Florida, packed house. How do you manage the emotions, and how big of an occasion will it be for this program to have that setting?
Yeah, well, it's exciting, just like I said, to get fans back in Ray J. But being Florida, it's definitely, it's exciting that it's an SEC game. It's a home opener, but we're going to look at it like any other game. We're not going to treat it any different. Our preparation's going to be the exact same. It's just going to be, I know a lot of guys on the team know guys on Florida and, got recruited with them and friends with them. But, for me, I really couldn't tell you anybody. But, we're just excited for the opportunity. Playing on national television is always great. And so, we're going to do whatever we can this week to get ready for it.
As an Iowa boy, I mean, does Florida, obviously they're a good team, but I mean, that much here to you personally?
No, not really. I mean, we all play football. We all, strap our pads on the same way. So I'm just going to go out and, do whatever I can to execute.
Your coach mentioned, the end of the game, it's 45-0, you're trying to drive down and nobody quit. And you mentioned you're satisfied with, the response that you've seen. Is that a big thing at this point for this program, to just look in people's eyes and see that they're still pushing regardless?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, we were extremely disappointed in how we played on Thursday, but we're not going to give up, and I think that this team has responded really well. This practice today is our first, padded practice since the game, and we're not looking past it because it was a great opportunity to learn from these mistakes, but we have to make it so those mistakes are in the past, and we move on. And next time we call that same play, we don't make those same mistakes. And I think so far this week we've done an extremely well job in doing that.
Mr. Mitchell, it's gonna be hot on Saturday. Are you ready for it? Are you ready to experience 1 o'clock at Ray J?
Yeah, I'm ready for the experience. This is my first game in the sun in Ray J, so I'm definitely excited for it, for sure. Thank you, guys.
We'll get that
Yeah,
extra
thank you.
later.